Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mark Young, and we are bringing you the St. Louis Catholic High School Coaches Show, Truax's Trenches. Got Coach Chris Truax here. I want to thank Upscale Productions as well as Mr. Bills. See Chad back there. Thank you for hosting us and your hospitality here tonight. Got Chris Truax with me, and Coach. First of all, thanks for doing this. Appreciate this.
Oh, Mark, I tell you what, it was my pleasure. Anything we can do to spread St. Louis and what we're all about and our identity and build our brand, we can do whatever we can for our school.
Absolutely, and want to talk a little bit about you and your journeys and that got you all the way to here to St. Louis right here. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I come from a football family. My father played 10 years in NFL. I was raised on the West Coast when he was with the Rams, and then he got traded to the Dallas Cowboys, was a Super Bowl champ with the Dallas Cowboys, and I was raised in Richardson. When I had scholarship opportunities at different universities, and I chose LSU because my family was in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and had Bill Arnsparger there at that time. We'd gone to the Sugar Bowls, and just a really great tradition and being close to home. And so came to LSU, and I ended up marrying a girl that her father had been to be an LSU Tiger as well too. So we kind of had kept it in the family, and my coaching journey started at Christian Life Academy in Baton Rouge when, I guess I was about 22 years old. I didn't know a lick about football, but I got in and started learning. I'd go to these clinics and I'd read and I'd study and I'd get with my old coaches and so forth. And I ended up meeting, Coach Kiesler over here at McNeese, and he had an opportunity as a defensive line graduate assistant. So I started really my coaching career at McNeese in 1994 as a defensive line graduate assistant. And it was really my intentions to go back to Dallas and go back to coaching my 5A high school, Richardson High School, and carry on with my family and, what I wanted to do. Just like, you can't pass up opportunities. I had an opportunity to become the tight end coach at McNeese, and then our offensive line coach left and went to Mississippi State, and they hired me as the offensive line coach, and, got a chance to work for Bobby for 5 years from basically 94 to 99. We won 2 Southland Conference championships, played for a national championship as well. Coach Kiesler had the opportunity to go to Louisiana Monroe, so I left with him and went up there to Louisiana Monroe, and spent 3 seasons with him. And then, our business is like any other business. It's all relationships and networking. Scott Stoker, who this room probably knows, who's the current linebacker coach at UL right now. Scott and I were dear friends, and he got the head job at Northwestern State. And so we went over to Northwestern State for 5 years and won a Southland Conference championship, made the playoffs a couple of times, and of course McNeese would come up there and strum us every year. But other than that, it was a great experience. While we were up there, our family, we had a loss. We lost our son Christopher Truax when he was 10 years old. And so that kind of, jolted my family and myself, and maybe our plan of what we wanted to do. And I backed out of coaching for a little bit, and my grandfather was one that told me, said, "Look, you're a coach. You need to continue this coaching journey." And so a friend of mine, was the head coach of Stephen F. Austin. Went over there to Stephen F. Austin. Never been in East Texas in my life, and was there for 9 years. Loved East Texas. I tell you what, it was a great university, a great opportunity for me and my family. But just like everything else, if you're coaching long enough, you're gonna get fired. Yeah. And head coach goes, the staff usually goes, and so we had transition for that. And when we did, my daughter was graduating high school at Nacogdoches High School, and she was going to LSU. And we did some light construction, residential and commercial construction. So I'd start in Nacogdoches, Texas. I'd go to Natchitoches, Louisiana, do a job. I'd go down to Denham Springs, do a job, and I'd circle back to Nacogdoches. It was kind of a rough year. Yeah. We ended up moving to Baton Rouge. My daughter Tatum, who is currently now a freshman at St. Louis, she was going to Our Lady of Mercy there, and I got involved helping out with their football team, volunteering, and Gordy Rush with the broadcasting. Over there, got me involved with ESPN Radio, and we did some stuff. And ultimately, Frank Wilson, calls me in 2020 says, hey, you got the job at McNeese, you want to come back? I'm like, yes, I'm there. I'm ready to go. Frank brings us in, and of course, we go through COVID and we go through Hurricane Laura, and it was just 2 really tough years. And then Frank gets hired by Brian Kelly.
Right.
A new guy comes in at McNeese, and hey, I'm bringing 10 new guys in. You guys, right? This is the way it goes. So I've gotten a private business for myself. I've got True Lodge and RV Park and some ice business and laundromat type stuff that I do. And it kind of gave me the freedom to volunteer at OLS and then with the Sulphur freshman team, the Sulphur varsity team. And when Tatum, coming full circle, when she decided to come to St. Louis, I got in touch with the previous head coach and said that I'd like to get involved however I can. And then, the transition into a job opportunity for me. And this is, our first season here. We've had, a scrimmage against Leesville, had a lot of production, and we, went into Welsh and had some more production. The team was building kind of our identity. We had Sulphur last weekend. Guys battled hard, but we ended up there losing that game late. And now we're, here sitting, getting ready to go to Bunkie.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, one quick question before we jump to your team. You talked about didn't know anything at 22 about football.
Yeah.
That was an interesting statement. So is that something that was a revelation to you as a player, thinking you knew a lot, and then all of a sudden got into the coaching side and realized there was a lot more to it than just?
Yeah, I think probably Mark, the main thing I learned when I was at LSU, I had 4 offensive line coaches in 5 years. And I saw how players treated coaches and their management styles. And I saw what players could mentally, emotionally, kind of handle. So that taught me a lot. And then working, for, building kind of my background, I said, I'm just going to be Chris Truax. I'm a family man. I'm a man of God. I want my guys to know I love them and I care about them. So I always wanted to be around men like that.
Yeah.
And most of my career, in 25 years, I'd been around kind of family men.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the guys I look for. Matter of fact, with our staff, that some of our staff is here tonight, I'd like to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's talk about the team then. Let's talk about what you said you're building your identity. Talk about that identity a little bit.
Well, when we first got there, I had to build a staff.
Right.
And relationships and recruiting, that's what, I'm all about.
Right.
And so I started picking up the phone, and I started calling guys and trying to put the right pieces together. And the most important thing is I wanted guys who wanted to be at St. Louis.
Yep.
Very blessed that John Tate Jones wanted to come back, who had an identity at St. Louis, who the kids and the faculty knew him, and he had a great relationship. So bringing him back was a key element. Very, very blessed to have him. Trey Quinn. Trey Quinn, right? Barb icon, college great, NFL great. And Trey was looking to get into coaching a little bit. And I don't know why Barb didn't pick him up, but I called him, offered him an opportunity, and he said yes. So that started to take shape. Ronnie Letson is a guy who I'd met when we worked together at McNeese. He was the offensive coordinator. Ronnie'd been at Georgia. Heck, he'd been at Ole Miss, Jacksonville State, Colorado State. He's got a tremendous pedigree, and he's a quarterback guy. So, offensively, I'm an offensive line guy. We've got Ronnie now as a quarterback guy. We've got Trey as a wide receiver guy. So we're kind of building that offensive identity.
Right.
Defensively, John Tate, Coach Jones is, a D-line coach, but now he has learned so much about the game. He feels he can coach it all, but he coaches the linebackers. Okay. Alan Bryant, who is here with us, he is probably the best hire St. Louis could have made. He is our strength coordinator.
Wow.
So he is just not with our football team. He is with all the other young men and young ladies at St. Louis. And he trains them, and he physically and emotionally, mentally, he's with these kids every day. So, to have a guy that wants to be a strength coach and lead that program, those kids have responded tremendous off season, and we can talk about that in a moment. But having Coach Bryant work with the defensive line in the small world, I recruited Coach Bryant when he was in high school when I was at McNeese. And so once again, it goes back to those relationships, you know, and then guys want to come. They know the kind of man I am. I mean, I try to be as consistent as I can. I'm a player's coach. I got no problem telling my guys I love them, I hug them, and then we're going to be a family together.
Yep.
And so I think once they realize that, hey, look, Coach knows what he's talking about, and if he gets angry at us, it's coming from a good place
Yep.
because we know they've got something else in the tank to offer us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like you got the right staff in place. Talk about your kids now. Talk about what kind of team you're building. What's your strengths? What's your weaknesses? What do you look forward as the season goes on from these guys?
Yeah, we're still kind of building our culture a little bit.
Okay.
The best teams, Mark, I've been around are player-driven teams.
Right.
And we talk about that. That has nothing to do with Welsh. It has nothing to do with Sulphur. It has nothing to do with Bunkie. It has to do with us.
Right.
The schemes are great schemes. We're running college offensive schemes, defensive schemes, and special team schemes.
Yep.
We've got the coaches that can teach it, and we've got the players that can execute it.
Yeah.
So we don't really have any excuses, in my opinion.
Right.
We've got great equipment. We've got a support staff that gives us what we need.
Yeah.
We've got a direction from our principal and what her expectations are. You know, as far as our weakness, it becomes depth in 3A football.
Right.
And so that's the main thing we're trying to build. And you know, a great example of that was last night. You know, our freshmen played Iowa's freshmen. And freshman versus freshman, we won that game 14-0.
Right.
Our JV, on the other hand, it didn't work out for our JV last night because we don't have the maturity because the young men, the sophomore classes, they're up on the varsity with
Right.
us, and the
Yeah.
other guys were developing stuff, and then we backed them up with the freshmen.
I
Well,
got
a lot of the JV teams that are 4A and 5A are playing with sophomores and juniors in
Right.
there. So we're trying to build that deal and be as consistent as we can with these kids.
Yeah. Talk about the game with Sulphur. I mean, obviously you played well. I mean, you went down to the wire with them. Talk a little bit about what you liked about that game, what you thought your kids did really well.
They played with tremendous attitude and effort. I mean, guys, you know, unfortunately, we did not win the game.
Right.
And they played well enough, too. We had the opportunity to. Our defense set the tone. I mean, just gave us opportunity after opportunity on offense with short fields. But we couldn't get it rolling. We couldn't be consistent. We'd have a positive play. We'd offset it with a personal foul in the offensive line. You know, I thought we protected the ball well. We had one turnover. You know, our defense created 3 turnovers.
Yep.
You know, we've got a young man, Will Flav, in his first year out there kicking in football. And now, you know, he goes out, he can punt, he can kick. He is a true weapon out there. And
Right.
we've got Clayton Powell, a deep snapper, who is just money for us. So, you know, that's phase of the game is taken care of. And I didn't get a chance to speak about my special teams coaches, but we can get back to that. So the guys gave me everything they had. And I really thought, worst case scenario the other night, in my mind, I thought, okay, we're going to tie this joker up. But I was worried because I didn't think we had anything left in the tank. Our guys were tired.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, I learned about really more sideline maintenance now and management of what we're going to be prepared for this Friday night on the road.
Yeah.
So it was a learning experience for me as well, too. But our coaches all held their composure. They're great communicators, and they're able to teach these kids on the sideline.
Yeah. How was the atmosphere being in, well, it's now the Var Stadium and Cowboy Stadium again? How was that?
Man, I love Cowboy Stadium, and
Yeah.
to see that back the way it is, to represent our community and you know the university as well, and to have that opportunity. I would love for St. Louis to be able to play one game a year
Right.
in that stadium.
Yeah.
You know, and keeping it versus Sulphur, keeping it Barb, LaGrange, Prep, whoever. But that was a great environment. We had great fan support. We got the young community with the younger schools, you know, behind us a little bit. and
Yeah.
just took a lot of pride and joy representing St. Louis.
Yeah, well, so Bunkie Friday night, right?
Yeah.
So so what do you want your kids to do moving forward from last week? What do you want them to improve on? I mean, obviously finishing drives, obviously taking advantage of opportunities, but what is it against Bunkie you're going to need to do to be successful?
Well, you know what? Our quarterbacks and our wide receiver are going to have an excellent game. This is a playoff game, and I spoke to the team a little bit about this. This is a 3A opponent that's been to the quarterfinals, and their coach has been there a while. Their program's established. They play straight man on defense, all right? And they're going to bring one more than you can block, and they give you opportunities. So we got to be smart with that football. We've got an exceptional game plan in, okay? And our guys are excited about going on the road,
Yeah.
you know, and getting to play against a premier deal, because this is a playoff ramification type day. Because if you want to go and you want to play,
Yeah,
you know,
these are the kind of teams that go
in
play, right?
December, you got to play and beat these guys.
Yeah, yeah, excellent, excellent. Well, Coach, we're gonna ask some people in the audience if they want to ask you some questions.
Love it. Yeah, bring it.
And so that's what we're going to do at this point, because I think somebody's got to have something for you, unless you just answered everything. You did such a good you did such a good job. You answered everything there is to answer right off the bat.
It's all good. They'll ask me something.
No, well, your defense obviously played very well.
Yeah, you know, when Coach Jones came and we started visiting a little bit, I said, look, you take the best 11 guys.
Right.
You've got to stop the run. Just like, you know, this Friday night, they've got a big bruising running back.
Yeah.
And we've got to stop that guy. And we will, because we have good players.
Yeah.
And we get good schemes and good coaches. It all ties together.
Yeah.
We're going to travel well. We're not going to have any excuses traveling. We're going to eat well. We're going to have a hydration plan in play. So we just have to execute.
Right. Right. Well, looks like we got a question.
Hey, Coach. I was at the game last week, and talk about the challenge of like y'all having to play kids both ways, and other teams not having to do that. You know, being a smaller 3A school. That's what we're
Oh, great question. So, you know, those of you that were at the game, first of all, you missed an exceptional atmosphere.
Right.
Okay, and first play of the game, we lose our starting tailback. You know, we got a great play set up, and McCollum goes out to block on the perimeter. We got a little crack screen set up. I mean, it's fixing to go. And, you know, all the traffic kind of rolled back up on his leg, so we lost McCollum the first play of the game. He was an exceptional young man, representing St. Louis with a lot of class. And he's kind of in recovery mode. I think we'll get him back, not this weekend, but maybe the following week for homecoming. So when he went down, we had to start jockeying guys around a little bit. Jack Crater stepped up as a young man, did a good job. We had B.J. Willis came in, who's a wide receiver, starting free safety for us, had to play both ways, punt returner, kick returner. And so, you know, those types of transitions were kind of fragile with our depth.
Yeah.
And late in the game, you know, and I looked at the stuff today. I mean, we played 50 plays offensively and we're cramping up. And I started just thinking about going, okay, well, we scrimmaged Leesville on grass, but that was a scrimmage. We had a jamboree on grass, but that was half a game. Mm-hmm. You know, now we're down on a new environment where, you know, on a turf field, which we had practiced. I took them over there on Monday. We had a practice. We get used to the hash marks, you know, the kickers, which we've already gotten used to at our place because we already had the college field goal set up for our kickers to work on right now. But I thought maybe it was muscle memory, pressing off a grass field, you know, to, you know, that rubber synthetic turf, different muscle memory type deal. So it wasn't the number of plays. I mean, we ate well. We just became, it was a game of a little attrition. I feel like if our hydration level would have stayed where it needed to be to a top performance, that might have helped us in the ball game, but it wasn't. And that was a learning curve for me. And we're going to get better at that this Friday. So,
how many guys you have having to play both ways?
Well, right now, going into this game, that's a great question. I don't see anybody right now on offense we had to do. You know, with losing McCollin,
Right.
so going into this season, we also lost Dayton Rowland, my starting left tackle.
Okay.
And then the Jamboree lost my starting left guard to a
wow.
dislocated knee. So I mean, we've got 3 offensive starters who aren't with us this fall right now. So you have to kind of get some of these young guys to grow up.
Right.
And they're getting coached in a hurry, and but they're getting there.
Yeah.
You know, we need to be hitting on all cylinders the time our district play comes around, and
Yeah.
so some of these young guys will keep developing. They'll keep growing on JV, getting some real reps. Our freshmen are playing other freshman teams right now. So I mean, we're developing it, but it takes time to get everything
Yeah.
into place.
Does that affect anything that those guys having to, or is it changing the way you're approaching the freshmen and JV games, and knowing that you may have to use some of those guys Friday night?
It does. We have to manage our roster really well, and especially guys during practice. You know, like today we had BJ. You know, I had to pull him for defense so he could come get offensive reps. Tomorrow he'll get some individual reps because we've got some schematics and stuff that he's got to get comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because that's the deal, just the mental aptitude of these kids. We're still messing with young men
Right.
that have a full day of school. They've got a family life, they've got a church life, you know, and they're really busy. So their attention span, that's what we're really trying to work on, because we have walkthroughs and we have videos
Yeah.
and we have practice. I treat them like, we treat our practice like a college practice.
Right.
So we try to give them every opportunity to have blocking sheets, and you know, the video that we have is they can study it, but it's still, you know, if they're looking at it, they're on their own. They don't understand. It's kind of like a kid looking at geometry without his own. If that teacher's not there
That's
to get
right.
him corrected,
Yeah.
then you know.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, I think we have another question in the audience.
Coach, nothing but good things I've heard from my son about the interaction with the coaches, staff, and just the program in general. But I was wondering if you could just speak to your philosophy on player development, character development. You know, things as a dad that we really, besides football, want to see. You know, the coaches and the staff instill in our sons.
Sure. You know, first and foremost, I mean, I'm a father.
Yeah.
And I know if it's good for my child, it's probably good for the other children. So we treat their children like young men.
Right.
And some of their consequences, you know, have a reaction from us. And it's coming from a good place. But I think we're real guys as well. You know, myself with the family, Coach Jones with the family, Coach Bryant with the family, Coach Quinn with the family, and the other coaches that aren't with us even, they're all family men. So these guys are being themselves, and I think they appreciate that we're not trying to be somebody we're not. And like we talk, we're not trying to live a lie, okay? I mean, we have faith in God. We'll all be at Mass together with you. So they see us interact with our teachers, with the other students, and with our families and so forth. So I don't really have a philosophy on that. I'm just kind of being Chris Truax,
Yeah.
and I'm a pretty transparent guy. Sometimes kids don't like what I tell them, but they know where it's coming from, and I'm there for them. You know, kids come to talk to me a lot,
Yeah.
and it's amazing what these young men are doing, just off the field and in their relationships with God and their walk with Christ, and that means a lot to me as well too. So we're just trying to be the men that you want us to be, to represent your children, because we are. We're all in this deal together, and if parents need to be a part, I've gotten to meet these guys. They care about their sons. They love their sons. Well, guess what? I care about my kids, and I love my kids too.
Yep.
So we're all on the same page on that.
Well, good. Yeah. We met with a bunch of my old high school friends last weekend, and the stories always go back to the high school days and what those coaches
Yeah.
talked about and said to us. And, you still remember those things. So those are lessons that we get from home, but we get through our coaches and teachers as well. So, yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. So great question on that deal. Any other questions? Well, Coach, I want to wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you, Mark.
In Bunkie, and hopefully I'll be there for this one. And we'll be here again next week, and we'll
Looking
talk.
forward to it.
We'll
Yeah,
talk
we'll
more
recap
about
Bunkie.
recap all that, and hopefully everybody will come back out and see you. So I want to thank you. So it's 7 o'clock in Bunkie, right?
7 o'clock in Bunkie, live and direct. Yep, you
What
got
time
it.
are you guys leaving? In
Got a
case
little pizza shack after the game, boys.
a little pizza shack
Yeah.
after the game.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a victory pizza shack
It
after the
will
game.
be. I feel good about it.
Very good. Well, for Mark Young, Chris Truax, thank you for Upscale Productions. Thank you, Mr. Bills, and everybody for showing up tonight and asking questions and just being a part of St. Louis.